What is happening? Welcome to my channel. My name is Matt Bradford. Today, we're going to go through relicing a guitar. Now, in the next clip, you're going to see me actually introducing the video, but as I got into the process, I made a huge mistake. I did not do the research. I should have known better, and you're going to see it. But I want to say in advance that I anticipated this being a different video. We ended up okay, but one of the biggest things, as I've worked in a lot of shops, since I was 20 years old, I've been fixing guitars on some level of professionality. On a professional level, right? From the time I was 20, I'm 44 now. That's 24 years. The difference between somebody who's been doing this for a while and somebody who's just starting out is the person who's been doing it for a while knows how to fix the mistakes. I've had apprentices in the past, and you learn a lot about fixing mistakes when you have an apprentice. In this case, it was my own mistake, so that makes it a little bit less painful to have to fix, but whew, it was rough. So enjoy this video, and just know that going in, I was not ready for this to become this involved, and it ended up being okay. What is happening? Welcome to my channel. My name is Matt Bradford. So today I'm gonna take a guitar that I have this guitar, okay, and it was built for me by my really good friend Lance Alonzo. He taught me a ton, and I really like it, but I don't play it a lot. And here's because it's just welcome to my channel. I built this one, I want to say close to 10 years ago. And there's this funny thing that happens. So I work a little bit as a counselor with kids who maybe have had some problems, various things, and I run some music groups. And the kids refer to this one as the crappy guitar, and they refer to this one as the nice guitar. And everyone wants to play the crappy guitar. And that's interesting to me because I do too. I prefer this guitar so much over this one, and it's not because of sonics, it's because of feel. And so what I need to do is make this guitar feel better. This guitar is, maybe I'll do some detail shots, but it's beat up and it's old. It has the comfort cuts, and it's not super shiny. It's not it feels like a nice worn in pair of jeans. This thing has been a million different places, and it's been played so much, and it still looks pretty new. There's little scratches and stuff, and I'll do a detail of this too before I start tearing it apart, but it just feels a little bit, it's a polyurethane finish, right? There's no comfort cut here. There's no comfort cut back here. It's really pretty, and that's great. I love the shape of the neck. These pickups, Lance made these pickups. He made every single aspect of this. It's as high quality of an instrument as there is, and it's just too nice. And so I want to do a few things. I want to strip the finish, and I want to add comfort cuts, and then I want to put on a lacquer finish with some dirt and some wear. I want it to feel like it's been played the amount it's been played. Because again, this has been through it, and it has little hairline scratches, but this kind of finish is so resilient, which is why it gets used. But it's too nice for what I want. So we're gonna go through that process together.
So obviously the first step is just disassemble the instrument. It's not that hard. There's a lot of myths out there about you can break this or you can break that, and the reality is it's pieces of wood held together with screws. So if you've never done it, if you're afraid to, I would encourage you to try. You're not going to screw anything up, and I didn't even need to adjust the setup when I put it all back together. Now, once I got it done, I started to explain how I was going to lay out my comfort cuts, and as I got here, I realized I had not taken out all of the parts. So you should look at both sides of the instrument, and then once you have all the parts out, now you can actually talk about where your comfort cuts are going to go. I have never stripped finish before in my entire life, so the first thing, I watched some YouTube tutorials, and they said, make sure you get a chip or something where you can dig in to the finish. So I added some chips with a chisel in the spot where I was going to have the comfort cut, so I wasn't going to be worried about scratches or big gouges or anything. It turned out, though, I didn't even need to worry. After adding chips on both sides where the comfort cuts were going to be, I cranked up that heat gun to about 925 degrees. I had to let it heat up for a second, and then all of a sudden the finish starts coming off like butter. Now, if I could get my dumb head out of the way, you could see it a little bit better, but there it is, and it's just starting to come up real nice and easy. I cranked the heat gun up a little bit more, and it comes off nice and simple, and it's just so satisfying. And I'll tell you what, it is a thick finish that just peels right off, and it's pretty amazing. I clamped it in various positions to try to get the edges off, and I want to sand as little as possible, because when you sand, that's how you lose shape. When it's all said and done, you can see it came out pretty clean. There are some scratch marks, but those are going to come right off, and the finish itself is pretty thick. It's pretty plasticky, and it's not an insignificant finish. Is it going to make a difference to have a thin lacquer finish, or is it going to make a quantifiable difference in any way? I don't know as far as sonics. But as far as feel, that is a lot of protective layers there that I don't necessarily want to have. And now that we're through the removing of the finish, just a quick little sand just to make sure there's nothing there that I'm going to have to address once I get into the deeper parts. I was worried that this might be like a weird sealer coat that I couldn't get through, but spraying some water on it let me see that it was actually soaking into the wood. So as I continue to sand, it's going to get a more uniform color. My next step is going to be to use a round over bit. I'm using a 1/2 inch round over bit. It's a really dramatic round over compared to what's on there. Probably a 1/8 inch round over, 3/16 round over. I don't know. It's a pretty tight round over, which I don't find comfortable. So a much smoother round over is going to be nice for me. I always set my round over up on a piece of scrap wood. Now this piece of scrap wood is actually going to come in handy later, so keep an eye on it. But I use that piece of scrap, and you can see I've got a little bit more round over than I want, so I readjust the router, which you can't see in the video because I'm a master videographer, and there's my head in the way. But at the end, I'm going to end up with the round over that I want. I can test it, I can check it, and then we can go to rounding over the actual piece that we're working on. Now, one important consideration, especially if you're going to add a dramatic round over, is that it's going to possibly interfere with some of the hardware on the instrument. I don't want to have big open gaps where the round over goes underneath the hardware. So I'm going to mark off both the neck plate as well as the input jack plate to make sure that I don't round over into any position that is going to be a problem for the hardware itself. Once everything's marked off and ready to go, I can start cutting, which is my favorite part of the process. I hate the planning phase. And again, we're going to see in just a second here why that's a huge problem for me. But start making some sawdust, which is my favorite thing in the world. And even just the round over just makes everything look so much sleeker and cleaner and happier to me. The next thing I'm going to do is start laying out where my comfort cuts are going to go. I'm going to check that against where a Strat comfort cut goes because I do love the way my Strat works. And so I'm going to just try to transfer in a general idea where that line is going to get sanded. And of course, we're going to flip them over, do the same thing on the back. I'm going to kind of freehand this one, but we're going to get a general idea, and I'm going to let the sander take me where I need to go. Now in this dirty corner of the shop is where I keep my sander, along with a lot of the other tools and scrap wood and some sawdust that I haven't been able to sweep up because the power tools are in my way. I'm going to start just freehanding my comfort cut, and this is where the mistake comes. That's actually sort of a lie. The mistake was in not planning ahead. This is a chambered body. And so you can see right there on the side, I've gotten through the wood and there's now holes. I see that, but I've decided to keep going because I just want to see how deep it's going to go and what I'm going to have to do to patch it up. But you can see the holes and you can see the distress in my shoulders. Well, that sucks. And you can see that this video where I was going to just relic this and add some comfort cuts real fast has become a different video. I'm going to check to do the other comfort cut to see what trouble I get into up there, because regardless, I'm going to have to fix this. So let's see what else I need to do to make sure that I only have to fix it one time. And yeah, we're starting to get through there a little bit too. All right, well, it's time to go to the bench, and I guess we should keep sanding first before we go to the bench. And we look at the problem. So it's hollow here. I don't know what it looks like inside. And the next step is going to be to figure it out. How can I do the least amount of work to fix this problem? Step one is try to fit a piece of mahogany into maybe a triangle here, or some sort of a trapezoid or a rhombus. I don't know geometry. I didn't pay attention. That's how I ended up being a guitar builder. So I came up with a general idea of what I might be able to fit in there. It's going to be a trapezoid of some form, but I'm still worried about where that comfort cut goes. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit inside and see exactly what I need to do. So I'm going to route this first and see if I can't just drop this in. Okay, so this is a pretty big problem, pretty dumb mistake, but it is what it is. This is where we're at now. So, okay, got some finish here I gotta take off too. So I got a couple options. One is gonna be trying to fit a patch here. I've made the patch and I've made a routing template that matches it, so it'll be, you know, pretty tight. And I'll see if I can be as minimally invasive as possible. If it was just this side, that would be fine. And I think it's good. I mean, I think I'll be able to get that to work. I would like to not have to route all the way down to the top, because then I can use this curve with a pattern bit on my router to route. Right? I wouldn't need to add a template. But if that doesn't work, because I do have to get inside here too, and I would like a little more curve here, and so I want to make sure that I get a little more meat on this area. The trick there is not getting stuff on the top. That's going to be easy enough. I want to maintain as much chambering as possible, and then also, you know, maintain this curve here. So I got to see what's going on inside. Once I route this, I can do that. If that doesn't work for whatever reason, the next step is just throw a whole piece of mahogany on here, you know, and I have this great Honduran mahogany, and so I can probably fit that about there, you know, and that'll be a cool place to start. So worst case scenario, I'm patching it. I'm gonna have to cut this all the way down to the top, right? Which I can do, and then mate a whole new piece of mahogany inside here, and then go from there. But we're gonna start with trying a patch and trying to get something inside here to patch with as little routing as possible. And I think that that's gonna be doable. I'm going to save you the suspense. The chambering is done in such a way where the only way I'm going to be able to mate a piece of mahogany in there is to take it all the way down to the top. I did this. I was very hopeful, but the young, bald boy's hopes were dashed.
Well, just looking at how I would have to meet this curve and then the curve inside, I think we're going to put a new piece on. Oh, all right. Okay, so what I want to do is a couple of things. I'm going to use this straight edge here, and I'm just going to cut straight this way, right? Now, how am I I'm going to have to extend this table slightly, giving a straight edge all the way across, which is fine.
What is cool is this, I've never done anything like this before. This is something brand new to me, and that's something that's pretty rare at this point in my career. So having to figure out a solution here, use my brain, and then have it work was very exciting. And so while I did not plan on this and I would have rather not had to do it, it was fun.
All right, well, we're back. This piece tore off a little bit, which was very exciting. So I decided to stop. I'll be able to take this off with a chisel. And now we just gotta clean up all this.
And I'll tell you what, if there's one thing I actually like less than sanding, and if you've watched my videos on building guitars, you'll know how much I love sanding. It's trying to clean wood off of a top with a chisel. But we got there, which was great. The next step is to obviously mate the mahogany, a new piece. I'm going to first clamp it up totally dry, make sure there's no gaps, make sure everything fits properly. I'm going to be able to use the top as a template so I didn't have to cut a template in advance before cutting off the edge of the guitar, by the way. Once it's in dry clamps and everything fits, I can put it in wet clamps, glue clamps, I don't even know what the term is, but I'm going to clamp it up. I'm going to put glue all along the side on both the inside of the instrument as well as every surface it's going to touch, and then I'm going to use my fancy finger and spread it all around. Once it's all glued, and you want glue on every surface, this is just something that guys have taught me over and over, and when I've not done that, I've always paid for it. So glue on every surface, clean it up with water, clamp it up. I'm using Titebond 2 for this application, but just clamp it up, and then once it's been in clamps for about an hour, pull it apart, clean all the glue off, and now I'm ready to start shaping. I have this template from Stu Mac, and I've talked about this before. It's a fine template, but it's a little bit rough around the edges, which I found shocking. And when I reached out to them and said, hey man, this is a pretty rough template, they were like, yeah, it's not supposed to be finished, which I don't understand. So I made my own. I used their template to make my own template, but you can see that mine is much smoother, because the smoother my cut, the less sanding I have to do, and that just makes sense to me. So I'm going to use my template, which is a Tele template. Fortunately, this guitar fit that shape pretty much exactly. So I'm going to use a flat piece of plexiglass to try to just line it up as best I can, and I'm going to route. And if I have to sand little ridges at the end, I will be able to do that. But we want to try to not reshape the guitar as much as possible. So you can see I'm pressing against where the template goes, and I'm just trying to get it as dialed in as possible. Now I'm going to use a flat bottom pencil because there is a round over, so the template doesn't mate directly to the piece of wood we're trying to cut. I'm going to transfer the curves to the piece of wood. I'm going to take them over to the bandsaw. And I'm not going to show you this, but through the magic of video editing, we're pretty close to where we want to be. I've got that curve mostly cut, and now it's time to route. The first thing I'm going to do is lightly clamp the template in place, and I'm going to just spend quite a bit of time with a right angle, whatever that's called, a couple of them, making sure that it's as close to the body as possible so that when I cut, I have as little sanding as possible. That was a lot of as possibles, but I'm going to stick with it. The next step is to get a little pattern bit in there, maybe plug it in because that's the trick, and then make my first pass. I like to go a little bit at a time. Again, whenever somebody has advice, right, route a little bit at a time, tin both sides of whatever you're trying to solder, all that stuff. Every time I've tried to do what is against the general consensus or the general practice, eventually it ends up biting me. So I route as little as possible. I use sharp bits, and I just take my time. Go slow. If you're doing this, go slow, because you can always cut more. It's hard to cut less, as I'm proving. Once I've got it cut and I've got that initial guide track cut, I can pull the template off, and now I can flip the body over. I can use that track that I've already cut as the track for this larger pattern bit that's going to allow me to take the rest off and have one single mated group. So simple enough. Route that puppy up now that we have that track. Once we've done routing, we can pull the clamps off, and then we can start with a palm sander. We can clean up the edges and make sure everything is 100% perfect. Then we can re-round over the end, and guess what? We're right back where we were before. Now, I don't feel like I need to show you this, but I redrew the lines that we've already drawn, and I'm back to where we were when we made the mistake. So, once again, try to get those comfort cuts in, do them by hand. Continuously regret that I haven't invested in better dust collection yet, because I drink coffee in the morning and then I put on this mask, and the smell is not fantastic. Now, I wish I could tell you how much of my time I spend sanding. I have sped up the footage of me sanding 2,000%. But you just got to go step by step, hand sand, power sand, hand sand, power sand, get in there, get every single piece out of there. And then we get to do some clear coats, some color coats. I hang it just in the middle of my shop. I don't have a dust controlled area, and so this is what we do. And I use spray can lacquer, and I just do it by hand. Make sure that everything's not as dust free as possible. I put on a sanding sealer coat, then a color coat, and then 3 coats of clear, and then I'll sand it back, and then I'll put on a final coat of clear. So I could just leave it like this. It looks great, you know, and it came out great. But I like guitars that look beat to hell, and so I could just shoot clear coats, and it'll wear in nice eventually. But I would rather beat it up a little bit now. So I have a little cup of water here and some 400, and this is just the color coat. So I know that I can just, if I just sand, see, I wear through it right there real quick, right? And so I'm just gonna do a whole bunch of that first. Okay, so I've got some wear marks. Next step, and some punches just to get some sort of deeper all right. Now the other thing we want to do is, like, we want to make it dirty, right? We don't want it to look clean. That looks too clean for wear. That one looks okay. And so I have these stains, and I've just labeled them my own color. They didn't come labeled, which was a bummer, but like dark brown, blackish, dirty brown. All right, and this is the dirty brown. All right. Right, and you can see that looks cool. That looks freaking cool. Okay, that looks great. This one has this line where it's like, I didn't get quite where I needed to get, so I'm just gonna adjust that a little bit. And since I've already got some brown on this side, which is like looking good, let's grab another brown and just add it. See that? Nice, and it's kind of getting into the grain here because I didn't grain fill anything. Now I want to make sure I get all the excess off the side here, unless I want it to stay. But I think that looks pretty freaking cool. And so I thought it would be cool to keep talking through this video apparently the entire time, but we don't need 45 minutes of me talking about relicing. This is the first time I've done something quite like this. I'm going to just stain all the various areas, and you can see how the stain gets into the lacquer. So I'm going to start adding the stain to the actual lacquer itself and then sanding it off and trying to get it off with water. And so there ends up being dirt in the grain and dirt in the pores and dirt on the finish. If I could do it again, I'd probably wear gloves. I had brown stains on my fingers for a couple days, but it was fine. And once I was done, I shot just a couple more clear coats, and then finally it was time to assemble. Now, this original electronics had push-pull pots. I've decided I'm going to take the push-pulls off. I'm going to take the knobs off. I don't like the way the knobs feel on the push-pulls. I want to replace the knobs themselves with these rad ones I have that are solid brass from Forney Custom Guitars and Amps and Effects. I don't know. I'll put the link on the screen. But I've always been a fan of cool knobs, and these knobs patina really nicely and just wear in over time. The bridge itself and the other hardware has been used and played, so it's already reliced, which is pretty cool. I'm saying cool a lot, and that's just what it is today. So anyway, it's time to assemble the instrument. And then we're going to string it up, as always, with the GHS boomers. It's a shameless plug, but I've been a GHS artist for years and proud to support them and proud to represent them. Now here's a little trick I learned from the custom shop Fender guys. On these T-top tuning machines, which are my favorite tuning machines, you measure to the tuning machine you want, and then you measure 2 tuning machines up, and that's where you cut it. And you're going to get a consistent wrap each time. So this is the A string. I measured up to the G string tuning machine and cut it. And each tuning machine is going to have 2 wraps around the headstock. And I can do that for the E string to the D, the A to the G. Once you get up to the G string, you kind of got to eyeball it, but it's not that hard and not that big of a deal. So we're going to string it up.
And here it is, the completed project, right? I think it came out great. That was definitely not for the faint of heart. You can see, obviously, it's hard to see because there's finish over it, but you can certainly see where I had to graft the piece on. But it's not egregious, and it feels good. It looks good to me. I prefer this. I prefer the less shiny. We're going to do some detail shots right now. I probably could have done a better comparison of before. Here's before and after. I could have done probably a bit better videoing of the before, but it came out great and it feels great. I like the new knobs. I'm glad I upgraded the knobs. I mean, it just makes me want to play it. And he did a great job winding the pickups. So this is it. This is the end. And now I'm gonna play this a lot more. It's gonna sit in the shop. It's gonna still go to work, but it's also gonna be in the studio sometimes. And it's a really nice sounding and feeling guitar. And now the fact that it has this comfort cut here and this one here makes it more comfortable for me to hold. The look of it is just way more natural. Oh, that was one thing. One of the companies that I get the spray can lacquer from suggests using 3 full cans of clear for top coats to get a professional finish. This is... Now, you have to sand that back and blah, 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 and then polish it, whatever. This is a matte finish, the best kind of finish. This is less than a can of lacquer top coat. So... we did a color coat, we sanded it, I did 3 clear coats, I sanded it just to get it flat, and then I did 1 final clear coat. So I have a way thinner finish too, and it feels good, it looks good. And I am stoked. So thanks for hanging. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please like and subscribe and comment and do all that stuff. It helps me. And, join me on Patreon. We do a lot of ear training stuff. That's not just for slide players. I do a lot of lap steel lessons. But, we have fun over there. I hope you'll join me. And we'll keep this going. So thanks for being around. Thanks for being a part of this. You're rad.